All right. So you're an entrepreneur. You teach people to invest in real estate. Is that correct?
Correct.
In all aspects. I mean, flipping, buy and hold, paper contracts. I mean, every aspect of it. Or tell me a little bit about what you do, and then we'll get into what your talk could be about or should be about.
So yeah, we get into through our network. We do notes, flips, wholesaling, buy and hold, fractional ownership. Uh, that's like we're like at a beginner level investing. We don't do commercial. We
Mhm.
don't do multifamily. We don't do none of that. We do some lending. Um, we try to have people pretty much discover their investor ID,
Mhm.
see what's going to suit their journey into their success.
Mhm.
For example, a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to get into investing, and the first thing they encounter is a short sale, and they don't know that a short sale could take up to a year and then not even get approved.
Right. Right. Right.
So they just say, oh, I'm in the wrong business,
Yeah.
but they weren't informed of the process of the short sale, therefore they could never discover their investor ID, right?
Right.
If somebody's willing, if somebody needs cash now, and even though cash now doesn't exist, um, the quickest avenue is wholesaling. There's a
Yeah.
process behind that. So we help them. We first focus on the investor ID, and then send them out. Okay, this is what fits what you need.
I like the concept of investor ID. I haven't heard that before, but it makes sense. I like it. I'm sure you're building that into your courses and all that type of thing that you're doing. So I like that. And it makes sense. Yeah. Cause I've done all that. And I know I've done short sales, and this was way back when 2008 happened. So it was kind of a little bit easier back then. I don't know what the regulations are now, but I know that there were certain people at certain banks you needed to talk to and you had to negotiate with, and they'd call you a week later and they'd say no, or they say yes. And it's a process, right? And if you know how to do it, I remember back in the day when I was doing it in real estate, we had like 7 exit strategies is what we put per se. Our investor ID had 7 exit strategies. So when we'd go look at any property, we'd say, what's the exit strategy? And we'd look at which one we were going to use, and we'd go into it with that exit strategy, right? So with that said, if the short sales were almost just a side thing, because we knew it wasn't going to be fast, right? It was just like you're at home one day or in your office one day, you make the calls and you negotiate and you have your contract sitting there and you wait till you're able to close one. But in the meantime, you're flipping, you're buying and wholesaling, or you're doing whatever you have to do, right? So I don't know what the strategies are now. I'm sure they've changed, or they might be the same because real estate is real estate. But yeah, we had like 7 strategies that we would just use to exit properties with.
Yeah, there's a ton of different strategies that we manage, both on the acquisition side and the offloading side.
Yeah.
But like I like to focus more so on the misconception that people have coming into the industry. Because I was talking to Kaya about this. They look at the suit, they look at the car, they look at the watch,
Yeah.
they look at the end result, but
Yeah.
they don't look at the process.
Right, right, right.
So helping them identify their investor ID, puts that process in their face,
Mm-hmm.
and then they say, "Oh my God, like, am I willing to do this?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it worth it?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that's what we focus on. I was talking to Brandon. I specialize in deeply discounted properties. If there's not a deep discount, I'm not touching it with 10-foot stick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean like deep, deep
Yeah.
discount. We're buying for pennies, super, super thin pennies on the dollar.
Oh, wow.
Um, so that's what we specialize in. That's my
Okay.
specialty. That's how I buy.
Yeah.
I discovered that perfecting that strategy and acquiring property that's deeply discounted. There's no reason to offload it. Just keep it, rent it.
Yeah. Because cash
And
flow.
then and then it doesn't matter if you buy at the top of the market or at a bad market.
Right.
You're always going to be green. You're always going to be good.
That's good. So there's a couple of things going into the training that I listen to what people are saying and what they're not saying, and we talked about 2 different things. They coincide, but there's 2 different things. And what you said in short is you teach A, but in order for people to learn A, they have to understand B, or maybe even opposite of that. You teach B, but they need A to get to be able to B, which means there's always some form of a life coaching, a mindset coaching with any industry that we're helping people to get to. right? So like at our events, we're talking about speaking and sharing your message on stage, and we're inspiring people and showing them physically from the stage how to connect with people, right? How to get people to join in and want what you have. So I also kind of call that, I tell people sometimes is we sell them what they want, and we give them what they want, right? What they're asking for, but we also give them what they need, right? A lot of people, I say, you can have 3 steps. Let's say there were a true 3 steps, and if anybody in the world took these 3 steps, you would be a multimillionaire. A lot of people wouldn't take the steps because they're not there mentally or in their heart. They don't believe it, right? Like the example you gave was they see the car, they see the watch, they see the suit, but they don't know what it took to get there, right?
Right.
You just go, okay, I'm going to be a real estate investor, and now I'm going to have the car, the watch, the suit. But hey, I did a house, but I can't afford all that stuff yet. Well, it takes work, my friend, right? And
Yeah.
that work takes a mindset, okay? So going into your talk, right? There's wisdom in the industry that you have, that you were talking about. We buy at a certain rate. This is our ID. We buy at a certain rate. And with that knowledge, with that wisdom, when we buy at that rate, it doesn't matter what you do with the property, because you got it at such a great rate. You can hold it and you're cash flowing. You can flip it and you'll make a ton of money because you bought it so cheap, right? And you have numbers and all that type of thing. So that's in my view, the technical side, right? And then Tony Robbins teaches, there's the 80-20 rule. Have you heard him talk about that? Right? It's 80% psychology and 20% mechanics, right?
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so the mechanics side is what you're teaching, right? The guidelines in what you're teaching. The psychological side is the mind, the body, and the spirit, where do I have the mental capacity to do what I'm being taught, to take action on what I'm being taught? So in your talk, that should be the same guideline, 20% inspiration and psychology. And I don't mean like literal psychology out of a book. I mean, teaching and helping these people to understand in their mind that they can do what you're teaching them to do, right? At our events, we inspire people over the 2.5 days and teach them so that they go, I can do this. And I can take what you've taught me and go do it myself, right? You need to give them enough in your talks where they can take what you've taught them and go do it themselves. But guess what? 99.9% of them are going to go, yeah, I want to do that, but I want you to help me, right? And then that's where you offer your coaching programs. Now, in between that with your talk, you're also seeding what you do, right? Who are you is the most important thing. And my whole thing with Tag Talks, transparency, acceptance, and growth, right? I don't know if I talked about this at the event you came to, but I usually do. I talk about a guy who's very financially successful. I think you may even know who he is. So I don't bring up his name because I'm not talking bad about him, but he has a hard time from stage because all he does is brag about what he has, right? I have 10 Ferraris. I don't fly private. I do this and I do that. And I drink this and I have this and I have that. And within 2 minutes of his talk, people are staring at him like, I don't give a crap what you have, dude. Like, so what? Yeah, get up there and brag to me what you have. It doesn't matter. And I told him one time, and I talked to him briefly, because I do know his story. I know how he got to where he's at. It's a great story. 2008, when everything slammed and dropped, he lost everything, like most of us did that were in the real estate industry, that didn't know how to keep it, right? They didn't know how. And he was sleeping in his car with his girlfriend, an Explorer he had. That's his story. He lost everything. He was sleeping in front of the office, I think he had, in his Explorer. And then he made a decision, and he did A, he did B, he did C. Next thing you know, he's a multimillionaire and he has 10 Ferraris and flies in private jets and all this stuff. And I go, that's the story you want to tell, because then people are interested in what you have, right? They're not interested in just what you have. They want to know, how hard was it for you to get there? How did you get there? And that's really similar to what you were talking about. So when I teach people to share their personal story, that's where you catch their attention, right? You're sharing your personal story. I teach the same format over and over again. You're sharing your 15, 20-minute talk of who you are, but within that talk, you expand it, right? You start with the 20. I teach everybody to do the 20-minute talk. Some people come and do a 7-minute talk. Obviously, that's their own style, and we work with them on that a little bit. But primarily, you need a 20-minute talk that you can expand to 45 minutes, to an hour, to 90 minutes, regardless of how much time you have or you're given in front of an audience, right? And what you do is you take your 20-minute talk and you expand it with key, what I call wisdom points, right? And a decision is one that I use an example of all the time, right? So when my talk, I'll usually start out with, depending on who the audience is, right? Where, like I've been invited to do talks for the EXP higher level people. So I think, okay, I'm going to talk about real estate, and I happen to know about real estate, so I can, reference it. But I'll always start out with this to get my story in there. Listen, I'm going to talk about true decisions today. I'll name like 3 of my key wisdom points that I want to teach, right? Those 3 wisdom points will be from my personal story. So I'll usually bring it back and I'll go, listen, I'm going to teach you guys these 3 things today. But in order for me to tell you how I got to where I'm at and give you these 3 points, I have to tell you about me a little bit. Can I tell you about my life? Can I tell you about my story? I'll ask, and they'll go, yeah, of course. They want to hear it. So now they want to hear my story and they're ready to listen to it, right? And I'll go in all the way from childhood, 7 years old. This happened to me. I'll start to share my story like I do. But then when I get to a wisdom point, one of them is decision. Right? I made a decision when I got out of prison. I made a decision to change my life, and I'll pause there and I'll go, a true decision. Can anybody tell me what a true decision is? Now I'm interacting with the audience. Can anybody tell me what a true decision is? And I'll get a couple of answers, and we always in agreement. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. And then we go on to with our point, right? A true decision is something, this is the wisdom point. A true decision is something you don't look back. When you make a true decision, you look forward. When I made the decision to change my life, I moved 200 miles from where I lived, because if I stayed there, I wouldn't have changed my life. So I made a decision. I moved. I made a decision. I had to go to college. I made these decisions. And then I'll go to the audience, depending on who it is, and I'll go, your decision was to come here today. Your decision was to get your real estate license. Your decision was to come and learn about real estate investing. Thank you for being here today, because guess what? There's probably 100 of other people that said they would come today that didn't show up. You showed up. So you're the people I want to talk to. You're the people I'm going to teach, and we're going to grow together, right? So it went from your story to a wisdom point, right, about you, and a decision being the wisdom point to them now, and thanking them and congratulating them for being here based on your talk and real estate investing. Right. So what we do is we put that 20-minute talk, we start to expand it with wisdom points. And we'll, like what I would do when I do people with one-on-one, I'll listen to you and I'll record you talk for an hour, sometimes 2 hours, and we'll pull 10 wisdom points out of there. Right. And then each wisdom point will put a story behind, and then you'll practice using that wisdom point with different industries, with different niches, that whether you get hired to go speak at or you get to speak at, right? Because you may get called and go, hey, I got 500 people over here and they're interested in real estate investing. The whole event is about whatever it is. Do you want to come and speak? And you'll go, hell yeah, I'm going to come and speak. Do I get to tell and teach what I do? Yes, you do, right? So what is this about? Well, right now, all of these people are in tech industry, but we're trying to teach them that you can make money with real estate also, right? So you'll turn your wisdom points and your story about you and your investing into tech, right? You'll do some research on tech and you'll say, my wisdom point is around tech, and you'll make very short wisdom points around tech. So you're relating to them, but you're also building the know, like, and trust with your personal story. And then in addition to the tech wisdom point, you're going to plant your seeds of what you offer, right? How you can you offer, because there's technical side to everything, right? So you use the word tech, you do some research on their vocabulary, so you're connecting with them, and then you go, well, I'll tell you what, we use tech in our industry also, and what I do in real estate investing, and here's what they are. Boom, boom, boom. Right. And then you continue with your story, and then you hit the next wisdom point. The reason I asked for 10 wisdom points, even though we'll use 3 to 5 per talk, depending on how much time you have, is because you'll use different wisdom points depending on who your audience is. Right. So the key and the first thing that we do and that we teach is to get your personal story out there from birth. Sometimes I get into calls when I do one-on-ones with people, who hire me as one-on-one, and I'm really getting away from that. I do more group now. That's why we're sitting here right now. Is I'll like I said, I'll start from birth. Like, I want to know where your parents lived, how they met, right? How they met, who they were, right? Because it's important, right? My father and my mother met in junior high school. They dated for a while. My father went to Vietnam. When he came back, he was a whole other person, but they got back together, right? I did a few tours in Vietnam. He came back, he was another person. They got together, and that struggle is what created their divorce. So it all matters, you know what I mean? In my view, when you're sharing a personal story. So I like to hear it from birth. I take notes, we go through it, all the way to stuff that people go, oh, I didn't think that was a big deal. Have you ever seen the cop shows or dealt with any police officers, and they're asking people to tell them what happened, and they say every detail? Every detail counts. Oh, well, I looked over to the left and I saw a cat. Good. I want to know that. Like every detail matters because somewhere you're going to find something that needs to be told or heard or understood, right? So when I do this with people, I listen to everything, because I hear what people, it's a God-given thing, but I also hear what people are not saying, right? So when they're telling me their story, I'll go, so what do you think about this? And I'll plant a little bit of a seed and they'll go, oh yeah, that's true. That did happen. Or I did feel like this, or I did feel like that, right? So when we connect all of these life experience together is where I'm able to pull the wisdom out of it. And you've heard me say, your wisdom is not common knowledge, right? Common knowledge is the easiest one I always think of is the light turns green, you go, it turns red, you stop. Everybody knows that, right? It's common knowledge. Your wisdom, what you know how to invest is different than a lot of investors. You already told me, you said we do highly discounted properties. That's our core. That's our investor ID, right? Some other investors won't even mess with that, right? Like there's stuff that you won't mess with. So you get your core, you get your wisdom points from that core based on the story that you've shared. You make sure you have, okay, decision is the example that I use, right? So a decision, I'm going to say this about decision. What is a true decision? A true decision means you don't look back. You give an example about not looking back. I use a lot of different examples. I think I gave you one already, but one of the guys, my coaches that I was talking to, he made a decision to lose weight. He's a much older guy. His health wasn't that good. I think he was eating too much sweets or something. He had diabetes or something. He made a true decision to change, right? He loves apple pie. His wife's home cooked apple pie, right? And one time we're on a Zoom call and there's probably 15, 20 people on there and he's coaching and his wife wakes up behind him with some apple pie, right? And she's sitting there eating it and he looks over at her and then he looks back and he just ignores it and he keeps going. And somebody in there knows that's his weakness, right? And they go, hey, don't you want some of that pie? And he goes, no. Like he was very adamant. He goes, no. And they go, isn't that your favorite pie? And he goes, yeah. He's all, but I made a decision that I wasn't going to eat it. So I'm not even thinking about it. And it's like, oh, that's powerful, right? I mean, it's about pie, but that's powerful in anything we do when we make a decision, right? A lot of people will listen to your speech, right? They'll listen to your wisdom points. They'll take it and they'll be like, I want to do this, right? And they'll make that decision that day, like you did, whether I want to do this or not, right? A lot of people won't do it. I talk about my real estate investment. The first time I ever invested in real estate course, right? And I won't go into it because it's a long talk. But I walked out, I walked back in, I walked out, I walked back in, and then I made a decision to purchase it, right? And it changed my whole life. It really did. It was a great course. The guy who taught it was amazing. So I like what you do. So, you know, I mean, I can relate to what you do and I like it. So I'm glad you're here. We want to help you as much as we can. Going back to your story, okay? I've already given you the basis. You need your primary story. You need the wisdom points that you'll chunk into it, that'll expand it. So when you come to our event this coming next month, what do you want this talk to be your story? Do you want to integrate it? Because remember, you got 7 minutes with the guest speaker. So what do you want with this talk specifically coming?
Honestly, I want to experience if public speaking is something, it's always been in the back of my head all the time, forever and ever and ever and ever. I'm very passionate about my stories and my message and coming from the trenches, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm very, like, I don't know, I'm very passionate about helping people realize that if maybe me with my limitations, I was able to achieve something, there should be nothing obstructing you to do that. That's like, oh my God, I get so a watery eye about it.
Yeah.
But I want to know if I want the experience from a selfish standpoint right now, just to know if I can do it effectively, or what do I have to do to polish up and make my message strong and a true representation of my brand.
Okay. All right.
You know, I'm not too sure if I answered your question, but my story, like everybody has a story, right? I do have some golden nuggets in my story, I guess. But mostly it's just I want to experience the stage, not singing, not selling, more so just sharing and seeing what that looks like. Honestly.
Okay, so there's for a 7-minute talk, I'll give you the way to start and the way to finish. Okay, and this is my view for you, and you basically just said it. So So what I always tell people is don't overthink it because you're just sharing your story. And that's the easiest thing to do in the world. But people start thinking like, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? And all these type of things. You're not doing some tech presentation where you have to do math or something, right? You're
data.
sharing your
Yeah.
story. So
Yeah.
it's very simple. But what I'd like to see you do to start, because you're just starting to see if this is something that you want to be doing, and you need to be doing it, first of all. But what I would do if I was you, okay, I would introduce myself, because you have 7 minutes. So I would introduce myself as what you do today. Okay. And maybe use the same line that I told you I was using with this other group. Tell them introduce you, your company, what you do, and maybe 1 or 2 successes that you've had or that you help people with, right? And then you go, but hold on, I want to tell you something. Before I got to where I'm at today, it didn't just happen to me or for me. It happened for me, right? I had to build this. It didn't come from nowhere. So I want to tell you a little bit about me and why I do what I do today. And then you go back to whatever hardship story you want to tell, right? The one that tears you up, whatever it is, it's a great story because it's an emotional connection and you'll connect with the audience that way. So here's who I am. Here's what I do. But before I got here, here's why I'm so passionate about what I do and why I want to teach other people this. And then you go into, that might be 2 minutes, that beginning. Then you go into 5 minutes of a story, right? I started out however you started out. I grew up here. I grew up there. I had no mom. I had no dad, whatever the story is. And then you say, and one day because at some point, somebody introduced you to investing in real estate or real estate. Somebody showed you something that got you and you're like, wow, this is a way to make a living and I can help people at the same time, right? So your story that you share about you has to explain why it made you passionate to help people in general, and then why you chose what you do now and how you help people. So who you are, what you do today, a little bit of your successes, but hold on, let me tell you, before I got here, it wasn't, I had to earn it. I had to freaking earn it. And let me show you how I earned it. And then you share your story.
Got it.
All right.
Perfect. Yeah,
So
I can work with that.
All right. Awesome. So practice that. And if you want, we can do a one-on-one. Like, here's what I ask people to do though, before you go on that one-on-one. Practice that talk, get your phone out. I don't care how you look or none of that. Just do the talk, do the 7-minute talk. And then from there, you send it to me. You use YouTube and stuff? Are you technical with that?
Yeah.
So load it to you. This is the easiest way for me to get it. Load it to YouTube, put it unlisted and send it to me. I'll watch it and then we'll do a call. And then we'll go over the points that you made and how to transition from one topic to another and that whole thing. So I always tell people, don't overthink it, just do it. I don't care how bad it is, right? And I mean, if you do it and it's perfect, great. Hey, you're good to go. I'll see you freaking, on the 16th. If it needs some work, then we'll go over it and we'll do the work on it. All right.
Okay, cool.
All right. So we're only half an hour in. Other questions?
For me or
Yeah, for you, my friend.
okay.
I think Jay's in here too. Jay, if you want to jump in, you have any questions, go ahead.
For me is I have a question because I am a singer and because in singing, you have to reset, right? You sing a happy song and then you sing I'm a mariachi singer. So there's, the emotional roller coaster is always doing this, right?
Yeah.
You have to, I remember one time this lady came to me and she said, you know what? I had just sang for 5 hours and she came and she said, can you do me a favor? Can you sing me a song? But can I hug you while you sing it? And I said, oh my God, awkward, but yes, right? Whatever. And she squeezed me like never before ever has. I was like, lady, come on, man. It was uncomfortable. Yeah, like I can't breathe anymore. And at the end of the song, she said, you know what? This was my son's favorite song. He passed away a week ago.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. It crushed me. Like I started crying with her.
Yeah.
And then she said, can you sing me a happy song? And I had to reset.
Yeah.
So in singing, sometimes we have to enact.
Yeah. Yeah.
In speaking, is it somewhat the same?
It's very much so. Very much so, because especially when we're sharing a personal story, because when we're sharing a personal story, we will talk about dark times and we will. I get emotional. I mean, I do the same talk almost all the time, right? I'll add different things in there, but I will get emotional when it comes around times that had to do with my father, because that's where my scarring was. That's where the pain came from. That's where the fog came. That's where I got lost in the whole thing. So we do have to kind of bring them up and down. And there's a few different ways to do it. I mean, you don't want to go from a pain point to a joke, right? Like, but you
Right.
do want to have jokes within, right? Come just about yourself. That's the way to do it is
Right.
you say something funny about yourself. Like if you're talking about your story when you were a kid and something happened, you can, don't call yourself stupid or anything like that, but you can say, yeah, well, that wasn't the greatest decision or whatever, right? It was one of my better decisions. Just kind of make a little crack of a joke. But the other thing that I do when I start to get emotional is I'll turn it into power, right? Like it might be a little bit of a breakdown, but I'll go, but that's why I made the decision. Like your voice will change. That's why I made the decision. And then you bring them right back up, right? That's why you need to step out. That's why you need to come behind, the podium. I showed a video last time where this girl was behind the podium and she was really timid and scared. She started to sing and then she came out from behind the podium and she just woke up and she just did amazing. So I say this thing like, come out behind the podium, right? And I'll be very aggressive could be the word, but in a positive way. So I'll go from an emotional thing where they're kind of like, oh my God, this happened or whatever it is, I feel so bad, to like, and this is why you need to step out. This is why I stepped out. And you just kind of raise the tone, right? So like you said, happy to sad or sad to happy. Absolutely. You need to do that. We never want to leave the talk with everybody like, oh my God, poor Raul. That's not the goal, right? And I'll tell you, even when I talk about like being in prison and being a ward of the court and taking from my mom and all this kind of stuff, I'll always pause and go, I don't want you to feel sorry for me. Because I'll tell you what, when I was there, I belonged there. I was that person. I was that guy. I was that kid that was causing problems. When they called me a menace to society, it's because at the time I was. So I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me for what I went through. I'm telling you that I've gone through these things, but today I'm victorious over it. It's a victor, right? So we always talk in victory, not poor me, or this happened to me, but in victory. So when there is a pain point, yeah, we want to bring them back up to happiness. Maybe we want to crack a joke, or we want to raise the vibration with, this is why we do what we do. This is why you need to get out there. This is why you need to come out behind the podium. And especially if you're talking to a group that really is interested in real estate investing, this is why you need to take the action, right? You can sit there in your sorrow. You can sit there and be poor me all you want. But guess what? There's no success in victimhood. There's no success in poor me. There's no success in sadness or lack. Success comes from, I can do this. Life didn't happen to me. It happened for me. And guess what? Here's what I do today, and I'm going to help you do the same thing. So you just change the energy. You shift it, just like you said. Absolutely. A 7-minute talk. I don't want to say it's more difficult to do that, but you got to be point to point to point because you only have 7 minutes, right? So you got to take them from sadness to the joy very quickly, right? And what you do is you kind of loop too. You start out who you are, what you do, and the success. And then you go how you started and you got there, and then you go back to the success, and they go, wow, he did it, so can I. And I can see that's what you want to teach, and that's what most of our people do want to teach is you can do it, so can I. And it's so common, it's become a cliche, but I know for myself, I say it because it's true. It's like, man, have you heard my life? Have you seen my life? If I can freaking do it, anybody can. It's such a, what did you say? What did I say? She clay, is that what they are? I said, but it's true. It's the truth, right? And I know you have a story too. I can't wait to hear it. But in answer to your question, yeah, you want to bring them kind of on the roller coaster, and then you want to leave them on the high, right? You want to leave them on the high and inspired to go.
Okay. And then last question, it's just talking, no slideshow, right?
It's what?
No slideshow?
No slideshow.
Just
no.
talking. Yeah,
Just
it's just a mic and that's it.
Just a mic. Yeah, you'll have a hand mic, and there'll be stage. We'll videotape the whole thing and all that. We did. I sometimes allow slides, but I notice every single time we do slides, it ruins the talk because of the type of talks that we do. If you're doing a webinar or something and you're actually teaching specifically how to invest, you might want to have some slides up there and you click and you go through them. But when you're sharing your story, you want the camera on you. You want people looking at you. Don't want them looking over at the slides like this. You know what I mean? Right. So in fact, we're reshooting somebody's entire talk at the next event because they used a bunch of slides last time. And they're like, oh, I don't want to do the slides. I said, good. Let's do it again and not use the slides. And we do have people like, I think at the event you came to in San Diego, one of the guys there, he was specifically there just to do slides because he wanted a presentation for, if you remember, he was like gravel. He had like some replacement.
Oh, yeah.
Or something. Yeah. So his thing was
show the data.
Yeah, he wanted to use slides. So we're like, okay, so we shot it for him. So we do what people need, especially when they come in at the VIP level, what they want, what they need for their business.
Yeah.
But for the most part, a lot of our people are authors, speakers, and coaches, and they want to attract people. So you attract people with your story, with your losses, with your wins, and what you've been victorious in. So that's kind of the basis of it.
Cool. course,
Right.
and I appreciate the time. I don't know if Jay has any questions for him. I'll step aside.
Okay, no, you're good. Jay's jumping in. We're live in the group too. So I'm just gonna bullet point a couple of things that I said we would talk about. And then we're gonna wrap up. So credibility boost, right? Everything we've talked about, you and I right now, this is a great call. I love to just like interview people almost because it brings up everything that we need to learn anyways. But when you're on stage, you're building credibility, right? There's a lot of people in this group, I know, and a lot of groups I go to, and they're not interested in speaking from stage. But what we're trying to help people understand is that's where the majority of clients come from, right? Some people want to be they go to a John Maxwell. I love John Maxwell. I never put him down. I love John Maxwell. They go to his course. They do Les Brown. I got a contract with Les Brown myself. They go to Les Brown speaking programs and stuff. And then they come and they say, hey, I'm John Maxwell. Can I speak on your event? And I go, yeah, give me your speaker reel. Oh, I don't have one. Have you ever spoken anywhere? No, but I'm certified, right? And I go, okay, well, you need a speaker reel, right? For credibility, you need a speaker reel. And that's why part of our program is to get speaker reels and pictures and the whole thing for people too. So to build the credibility, the know, like, and trust, you need to be seen as the speaker, okay? So the most important thing is to get on stages, whether you speak for free or not. A lot of people take courses too, and they tell them, if you come through my course, everybody's gonna pay you 10 grand, 5 grand to speak, right? I'm sorry, it's not true, right? You have to build the brand. People have to find you, right? Somebody offered me, I think, 3 grand to speak somewhere, and I might not even take it. I mean, $3,000 to go speak for an hour. That's cool, right? But if there's an opportunity and are in conflicts with any of my events, I'm not going to do it, because the truth is, you'll make more money in a webinar, right, selling your product once you have everything locked in, than you will getting paid 3, 5, 10 grand to go speak somewhere. Right? If you have nothing to do that day, go get the 5 grand, go take the 10 grand, whatever it is, right? Cool. You're speaking, they're seeing you. They want you to come and teach and share whatever it is. But I'd rather speak for free per se, and be able to offer what I do and talk about what I do, invite people to my events, because the back end on that is way bigger, right? So that's something that a lot of people don't teach and don't want to tell you, because a lot of people in their mind just go, I want to get paid to speak. I want to be a motivational speaker. I want people to pay me 20, 30, 40 grand to go speak. Can it happen? Yes. But if I Google your name and you're nowhere to be found, it's not going to happen, right? They're not going to hire us if we're at that level. So the cold credibility boost is, like, I think I've showed a lot of you guys, Google my name, Raul Lopez Jr., Google Tag Talks. All of that is SEO that I've done myself for my company without paying somebody to go do that for me. That's another thing. People go, oh, I need to go pay somebody to do SEO for me. No, you don't. You just got to know how to post, where to post, how to tag it, and all that type of thing. And next thing you know, it'll be found. Right? Tagging it is the most important thing. So I'll give you one tip, credibility boost. On my computer, I name all of my pictures, right? And I name them keywords that people are looking for when I want them to find me. So there was this trend going around. I don't know if it's still going on or not, but people had this thing about, oh, I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm an inspirational speaker. Or I'm not this, I'm not that. You know, this ego, a lot of stuff is ego, right? People's egos jump in there. So let me let Josephat in real quick. So what I tell people when I hear that, I go, guess what people are Google when they're looking for a speaker? And they go, what? I go, motivational speaker. That's what the common term is. That's the key word people are looking for. So you don't want to call yourself motivational speaker. At least tag your pictures as a motivational speaker, because guess what? When they Google search motivational speaker that they're looking for, and your pictures are meta tagged that, you're going to come up, right? Your face is going to come up. So that's what you want. So if you don't want to call yourself motivational speaker, sorry, you should, because that's what you do, right? That's who you are. That's what you do. I don't care what you talk about, who you are. That's how people are going to find you. So I meta tag, it's called meta tagging, but it's basically just titling your pictures on my computer. I title them motivational speaker. I title them Raul Lopez Jr. I title them life coach. I title them things that people will Google, right? And now I know we've all got, what's up, buddy? How you doing, Josephat? We got in with, we've been talking and doing a lot of stuff with AI nowadays. I mean, you can get into ChatGPT and give it a paragraph of who you are and say, what are the best keywords I should use for people to find me? And it'll give you 10 keywords, and then just title your pictures that, you know. It's very simple nowadays with AI. Like, a lot of, sad, but a lot of companies are getting cut, copywriters, SEO, all that type of thing, because we don't need them anymore. We can do it in 2 minutes with this AI stuff. So anyhow, credibility, tag your pictures, right? Your pictures that you post anywhere should say real estate investor, should say your name, should say your company name, right? Should say your location, stuff like that where you want people to find you, right? And the more you post, the better. The key ones to post on that pick you up first, LinkedIn and Twitter. LinkedIn and Twitter will pick up and put your stuff on Google before anything else will. Once those start picking you up, Instagram will pick you up, Facebook will pick you up, they'll all pick you up. And when you start Googling yourself, you'll see, it'll tell you where it's coming from, right? In fact, let me just Google myself real quick and you guys can see where all this stuff comes from. Let's see. I'm gonna do it live so you guys can see this. Share my screen, Google. So this is what we want to get you guys to also. Oops, let me move this down here. Raul Lopez. Hey, what happened? Hey, what's going on here? Lopez Jr. All right. So first of all, I made sure that I own my name and all that on Google, and it's free. You just got to register it. But then you'll see, this is like the websites and everything that comes up, but you see my pictures, you see all the different YouTubes, speaker hubs, all these pictures that I've tagged, right, of myself, obviously, that come up. I've done my best to make sure nobody else shows up. There's still a few people that show up. My name is very common, as you know, Luis. Raul Lopez is probably one of the, it's like a Jones or something, but you'll see all these different pictures and things that come up, right? And then if you go to images, well, videos, you'd see the same thing. You see a bunch of stuff. My stuff, different things that I post, YouTube, LinkedIn. See, there's a link, some LinkedIn videos that I've posted. A lot of things pop up, and then let's go to images. Now, see this picture here? I just got these pictures last week. These pictures, I did a new photo shoot just recently, and they're already popping up. So they'll pop up within a couple of days. This book I just launched, about a month ago. Different things that I post, they're popping up. This is from my website. This is from Vimeo, Pinterest, Gig Salad, another speaker's website, Amazon, obviously, that's not me. This is from LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. So as you start tagging your name and what you do, Google will find it and bring you up when other people are Googling that, right? I get on a lot of phone calls with a lot of people, and I'll always ask, like if the first call, I'll say, how much do you know about me or my company so I know where to start? And they'll usually say, well, I Googled you, so I know what you do. I know a lot about you. So here's the information I'm looking for. And then we'll just go from there. And I got a lot of people that tell me this straight up. They go, when I Googled you, if I wouldn't have found you, I wouldn't even have got on this call. So the whole meta tagging, building the credibility is what we're talking about, Josephat, is making sure that you're found, right? And how to be found. And that's one way to do it, is to make sure that people find you online. I'm sure, I bet you, Josephat, if we Googled you, we'd find you, because you got your podcast all over the place, right? Have you done
anything? I would like to learn how to register my name on Google. It's just I have so much, because my name's so unique that you Google Josephat Emiliano, you'll find it all on my podcast, my LinkedIn, all that stuff. Because I've been active for the past 3 years on just putting content out there. But I'm also curious on how to save other names where like people misspell my name, because the majority of people misspell my name by putting a P-H-A-T, but I'd like to put it in there. So even if they misspell it, I'd like it to direct them to me.
Yeah. So when you tag your pictures, misspell it the way everybody misspells it.
Gotcha.
But put them both. Like, you don't have to just put
only.
You can put your name spelled right and then comma, your name spelled incorrectly. And then it'll find you, right? It'll find it. And that's the Google at some point will start to find that too, because there are common, like especially with phones and people's fingers, there are very common misspellings, right? And if you misspell something, Google will take you to where you're trying to get to, because it knows, right? The algorithm knows, like, oh, this is what they're trying to look for. So yeah, spell it wrong and right. You could sometimes I'll put my name, Raul Lopez Jr., life coach. Sometimes I'll put life coach Raul Lopez Jr. Sometimes I'll put motivational speaker Raul Lopez Jr. or I'll do it backwards, because on your computer, it only lets you name a picture one time, right? Like it'll say, you already have this name of a picture. So just completely change it all the time. You could put we talk about personal brands, and then we talk about your business brand, right? So we're talking about credibility. This is reaching a larger audience too. There's a few things I said we were going to talk about, but these fall in together. So your personal brand is your name, obviously, right? When you're talking to people at an event, when you're networking with people, when you're on a Zoom call, people aren't going to remember, for the most part, your company. They're going to remember your name, right? And like you're saying, Josephat, they might not know how to spell it, so they're going to do their best. Like I talked to this guy, Josephat, how do you spell it? I don't know. I'm going to try it. So the way you know people misspell it, put it out there. So that's why it's important to have a personal brand, because people will start Googling like, well, that guy's name is Raul Lopez, but he said Junior. I remember Junior, right? It stands out. So they'll start Googling and they'll find me some form in some way. But then you also want to have your company branded too. So pictures of you with your company name, titled with your company name, right? Pictures of you with Real Estate Investor, pictures of you with your podcast or whatever brand you're building. That's going to help you build the credibility. It's going to be a credibility boost because they're going to find you when they're seeking it. And it's going to help you reach a larger audience, because as people are Googling things, trying to find, even though they're not trying to find you, they're going to find you because you're tagging your posts and all that, right? And then they're going to find you and they're going to find your talk, right? You saw videos came up for me, pictures came up for me, all that stuff come up for me. So then they're going to find your talk and they're going to go, oh, well, let me see what this guy talks about. Then they're going to hear that personal story. Then they're going to want to connect with you. I mean, that's just all of the author, speaker, coaching stuff goes together, right? I don't know if you guys are interested in doing books yet, but you need to have a book. I always tell people, if you have a book, you better be speaking about what's in that book. If you're speaking, you better have a book with what you're speaking about. And guess what? When you have those two, the credibility, the authority, all of that comes immediately, especially when you're on a stage, and then they're going to want to coach with you. That's how it comes all the time. All right, so I'm cooking one up right now. Oh, good, good. Did you get on the call, or have you seen the call that I did about how easy it is to get your book done?
I was there whenever we did the AI one. That was
Okay, good.
insane.
So in the keynote speakers group, Luis, in the keynote speakers group and in the habit, I mean, in the high income, high impact group, go back and look at my calls, because in one of them I taught how to write your book with AI, and dude, I've been selling that to people and just working with them and getting their books done like that. It's shocking, because a lot of people will say the same thing. They'll say, how is this thing going to know who I am? I want it to be my book. Like, how is it going to know who I am? And I show them, and then we write like we write the outline, the title, the 15 chapters, titles come up, the summary of the whole book comes up, and they go, that's exactly what I was going to say. And I go, I know. we tell it who you are, what you teach, and who you learn it from, basically, and then it'll write out the book based on you and who you learn from. Everything that you know, everything that I know, we learned from somebody, right? You went through real estate investing courses. I'm sure at some point, somehow you did real estate investing. Now you go, I can teach people, right? Yeah. Everything that I do, I've done, and I teach people now, right? So we all learned it from somebody. So a lot of people will be like, well, I want this to be just from me. And I'll go, yeah, but you learned from somebody. Who did you learn from, right? Just give me the basics. We don't have to reference them, but you learn from them and you have it in your own words now. So tell me who you learned from. I helped one guy do a book, and we referenced like Eckhart Tolle, Dr. Joe Dispenza. And we just said, reference these guys' teachings based on who I am. And boom, and we wrote out who the guy was. Perfect book. And he did take it, and he did a little bit of editing. I have another guy in Hawaii who's adding to his right now, but the 15 chapters are done like that. That's the hardest part. What are the chapter names? How do I get started? What should I write about? All that type of thing. This thing puts it together for you in a matter of hours, less than hours. It's up to you how long it takes. Honestly, it's done. It could be done in an hour if you just do it. But then some people go, well, I want to add a few things of my own. So they add a few things of their own, then we get it published and it's good to go. So credibility, authority, reaching a larger audience. Those are tips and tools for that right there. What else you guys have? I'm going to wrap up, and this will be in the coaching group. So if you want to go back and listen to it, Josephat, you can. Do you have any other questions today, Josephat, around your
Actually, no, I was watching it on Facebook.
Okay,
I was waiting forever. I used the older link, so I was like on standby.
Oh,
I realized,
no.
hey.
Sorry about
And
that.
so I went and I found the post, put like, man, I should have done this earlier. No, I'm just geeking out on the stuff that I learned from Luis and Naya about Opus Clips has really changed my game on just getting my reels out. You already seen a few of the reels that come out.
Yeah.
No, I'm just having fun with this thing, creating content and saving me that time. I won't be able to go to this next talk that you guys have coming up in California, but I am definitely interested in future engagements once I get in. Once I have my offer ready, then most definitely I'm going to try to hit more of those conversational things. I guess I could ask this. I guess to be able to speak on that platform, I'd have to go into the VIP, or as being part of the program now, mentorship program, do I get any kind of
You'll get a discount. We could talk
Oh,
about
discount. I like that word.
Yeah, you get if when you're part of the mentorship program, you come in as a VIP, they always get discounts. There's a couple of people who came and spoke in Texas and they're already part of the program. So we give them, we give them a good discount to come out. Can we get there? What we basically do is we break it down to the cost of your videos and pictures and all that type of thing. Obviously, there's overhead behind that. So we just kind of cover those costs.
Oh no, I got you. I don't mind going. It's just and also I do want you to put my name down to be your MC for
Yeah, man. That's
the,
if you
the Vegas event.
If you were gonna come, you would be the MC for sure. Whatever one you
I already bought the new shades for Vegas, so I'm ready.
There you go. There you go. Good one, man. I like it. Yeah, we're the Vegas event that we're planning, and it's going to be a big deal. It really is going to be a big deal. Just God is bringing the right people into my circle right now, people that have the money that want to invest, because it's a big ticket to even just do the event itself. And if we virtually, we want to have minimum 20,000 people there. So the marketing on that in itself is going to be a grip. You know what I mean? To be bringing people in and getting them tickets, free tickets, upsales, and the whole thing. And then 300 people will fit in the room, right? If you got, because I talked about a couple of different Vegas events. One, we were just going to do our regular event in Vegas, but the unions there kill it. They make it impossible to do anything with the unions in Vegas, man. I mean, the example I always give is I used to be in the fashion industry. So I would go do the trade shows they had there, and I'm not even exaggerating. If you needed something plugged into the wall, you had to call an electrician, a union electrician, to put, like, if it was right there in front of me, they would not let me plug it in. I would have to call the union, and they would charge me $400 or $500 to walk over there and plug the freaking light in the wall. And it's crazy, man. You can't do anything there. So the space we're going to use is a beautiful virtual studio, like you see Tony Robbins in those circles. It's actually Eric Warres, but it's going to be a really high ticket event, and we're going to probably do 2.5 days there. We're going to bring in the biggest name that we could find at the time to attract a global audience. We want minimum 20,000 people in the virtually, and then we'll have 300 people there that'll get to meet and greet whoever the big celebrity is. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be big. It's going to take an investment. It's outside of any of the other events that we do now. So somebody can't buy a VIP for $3,500 and come and speak at that event. That's not how it's going to work. It's going to be like probably a minimum $10,000 investment for people to come and at least speak there, because you're going to be globally in front of 20,000 people, right? So it's going to be a big deal. But we're still putting all that together. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. But we also have our next events coming up that we're planning, and I have 2 people that have audiences already who want to collaborate in OC, right? I was down in OC. Oh, sorry, Luis, you missed the date, right? You thought it was the following.
Oh man,
week,
my stupid calendar, dude.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We had fun too. It was super fun. You missed that. No, I'm just kidding. It was good though.
No, I know. I saw the pictures.
We had a good time cruising and stuff on the boat and all that. But anyhow, so down there, I had a meeting with a couple of people, and 2 people I know or have met want to collaborate with it for an event in OC area. So we'll probably do a pretty good size event there, 500 plus people. And honestly, I don't even like to go over 100. I like the 100-person type venue. So we'll probably get to about 500. I don't know that I want to even do more than that because, of what we do and the way we do it. I don't want to say the smaller the audience, but a smaller audience is okay for us. But it'll be good if we do a combination with a couple of people like that for pictures and videos for our clients, right? To be in front of an audience and that type of thing. So keep an eye out for the OC stuff. I think that's going to be coming up real soon. As we wrap up, yeah, we got our October 16th and 17th in Sacramento. Go ahead, Luis. What's up?
Yeah, I was gonna. You just reminded me. We do end of the month networking event here at the office. I have a little, what is it, like 3,000 square foot, but my seminar room is, it fits like 80 people, 100 people.
Yeah.
And I was telling the team, we ought to start pushing more into just a networking event where people just come and meet people and don't take nothing home. We want to create that repetitive customer to come back and get more of what they got last time. So I was thinking, man, what if we did something like what you're doing and then collaborate with you in the sense of maybe we can do something in Riverside later, not necessarily here at the office because it's not as big for it. It would host something like what you did in San Diego, but nothing 2 or 3 times bigger than that.
That's okay. I'll tell you what, you're sorry to interrupt, but your talk that we were just talking about, That's why you want to put that together then. And I've been to, in Southern California, I've been to meetings, I go to a lot of different networking meetings when I'm down there just to kind of see what's happening. And the most packed ones were about real estate investing. If you market real estate investing meetings, just come and learn for free, you'll pack that room. You'll pack that room, you watch, and then you're going to have your talk and you're going to pitch and you're going to do the whole thing at the same time.
It goes hand in hand, right?
Yeah, it absolutely does. Absolutely does. I mean, if you're offering free training, people expect that you're going to offer them something, right? I mean, it's just kind of the expectation. And the kind of the, talking about a process of giving talks, certain talks, depending on where you're doing them and how you're doing them, there's a certain strategy that people use where they tell you right in the beginning, hey, I'm going to teach you this, and then I'm going to try and sell you something. Is that okay? Right? I mean, you just tell them, I'm going to offer you something. I'm going to offer you some help. Can I offer you some help when I'm done teaching you for free? They'll say, yeah. And then they're not sitting there looking at you going, all right, when are you going to try and sell me something? I know he's going to try and sell me something because you already told him. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you, and then I'm going to show you how I can help you. Is that okay at the end if I offer you something? Yeah, sure. Then they're watching you and listening instead of thinking about what you're going to sell.
Yeah.
I think you should do that, dude. I'll help you market if you want to do something like that. If you want to collaborate on something, I mean, I got a big list in that area too. And I've never really marketed anything that has to do with real estate investing. So I mean, we can hit the list a couple of times and just see if we can get some people there. But I think you can.
Yeah, and maybe not so. I mean, if it has to be real estate, it could be real estate. But again, I go back into my like I tell the team, everybody's so much about real estate because they need revenue, right?
Yeah.
In selling our product. But for me, it's like, yeah, but what if people don't want real estate? Doesn't mean we can't talk to them. We can help them in other ways.
Yeah.
Help them experience growth in some other ways. Discover new things that they have inside that the fears don't let them.
Yeah. I love it. I love it, man. You're the person that I attract because I'm the same guy. And it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. Sell them what they want and give them what they need. That's what you want. I see it in you. You want to give them what they need. We want to give people what they need. And that's the understanding the mind, the body, and the spirit, overcoming their challenges, giving them the drive to know they can do it, right? Helping people understand you can do it. So it doesn't even matter what you want to do. First, you got to understand that you can do it. So if you started, what I would suggest, and this is just a suggestion, it's your venue, is you kind of brand it around real estate stuff, but then each week or each month, whenever you do it, you call it a different title. Mindset. This week, we're talking about mindset in business. This week, we're talking about overcoming a challenge in business. This week, right? Even though the back end, the primary of your company is who you are and what you do, and you'll always talk a little bit about who you are and what you do, and thank you for being here. This is my name. This is my company. This is what I do. But today, we're going to talk about mindset, so it doesn't really matter what industry you're in. Boom. And then you go from there, right? Cool.
We'll talk further more about that because I'm very interested in collaborating.
Okay, yeah. You're in Riverside, right? How far is that from OC? I forgot.
I went to OC yesterday, the day before yesterday, and it took me 50 minutes, 45, 50 minutes.
That's not too far. So where would somebody fly into if they're going to Riverside?
Fly into Riverside?
Where would you fly into?
Oh, Ontario.
Ontario, okay. That's a good flight. That's not too bad either. I know, dude, for some reason, when I fly to San Diego, sometimes I can fly to from here, Sacramento, I can fly to San Diego for $59. Orange County's closer, and it's always $300. I don't understand. Like Orange County to fly there, it's crazy. It's like, why? It's trip. But I think Ontario is like $49 too, for me at least.
Yeah, that's where I'm flying from to come to you guys, Sacramento.
Cool. All right.
Down the street.
Yeah, well, we'll talk more about it. I mean, you're part of the program. I hope you have my number. Call me, text me whenever you want, dude.
I do.
Yeah. I want to talk more about what you do too. I'm interested in what you do. I really am. I mean, I was in the real estate industry for a long time. 2008, it got hit and I kind of just bowed out. I did some short sales and things like that. But I say this to myself now, I allowed myself to be affected by what was happening because there was a ton of money to be made when that happened. There was a ton of money to be made, but my mind wasn't there. So I let myself fall. Yeah. But so I want to talk about that too. Anyhow, our hour is up. I hope you got some information from here. Text me, call me anytime, and I will see you guys. I'll make sure the links are correct because, like Josephat said, he had a hard time. He was on the wrong link. I will make sure the link is good, and I got to take this call. Thanks, my friends. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Perfect timing.
How are you?
Good. How